All right, so let's start. So today's webinar is about a great use case, SBB, so the Swiss railway company. We work together with them to build a next generation omnichannel experience. And before handing over the mic to the speakers, I would like to quickly introduce our company because you might not know yet who we are. One Inside, we are IM experts, expert as well in the full experience cloud from Adobe. We are Adobe partner since 2012, based in Switzerland, also offices in Germany, North Macedonia, 70 plus employees. Our main focus is Adobe product. We are really good at that. And as well, we can extend the customer experience with other services, mobile application, analytics and personalization with Adobe Analytics. We also build a chatbot module for IM. We do marketing automation with campaign and as well immersive experience. But today you're not here for that. Today you are here to speak and to not to speak, but to have a look at our great project. So guys, in the background, Michael and Simon, you can join now. Please come on the stage. I'm waiting for you. They're shy. I think they're. Are you still here?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Michael.
You should see me.
Simon, are you here? So Michael from One Inside. I will let you introduce yourself very soon. And Simon from SBB. Hi, guys. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you, Sam?
Good,
Thanks for the introduction, I guess. Welcome from my side as well. So as you have already seen on the slide, my name is Simon, and I am sitting here at home, as most of you do, I guess. And yeah, you could see on Samuel's slide before, I work at SBB as a project manager and a product owner. And I started to work here in August 2019, so still quite new in this company, especially compared to some of my colleagues who have already years of experience. And yeah, I'm still quite new. Nevertheless, I think that I have gained quite some experience over the last 18 months, especially in the field of customer information. So the thing that we are talking about today. And yeah, I am very happy to share my thoughts with you, also to discuss with you. And of course, I won't do that alone. As you can see, I will do that with my colleague, Michael, who will introduce himself as well, I guess. Right, Michael?
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Grob, or Michael. I'm a senior consultant at One Insight and in the business of web projects and content management systems since 20 years or so. And quite a few years of those I spent in the Adobe environment with Adobe Experience Manager and all the other solutions of the Adobe Experience Cloud. That's basically what I do. I'm sitting in the home office as well in the middle of the winter, so to speak. And yeah, I guess let's start.
Cool.
Samuel?
Perfect. So, yes, let's start with some facts and figures about my company, about SBB. I think most of you already know our company. However, I saw that we have international guests as well. So some of you might not know that much about SBB. I know that this is most likely not the most creative and beautiful slide that you have ever seen in your life, and it is definitely not the most beautiful one in today's presentation. However, I think it is a very good one to see the field in which we as SBB are operating. And it is, apart from that, one of our official slides that we use to present SBB to an external audience. So as you can see in the title, we move Switzerland. We move Switzerland every day. We are the Swiss Federal Railways, and maybe surprisingly, we don't just do railways, as you can see on the slide. We also do some other things, and our company is basically divided into four divisions, and I will show you that. You can see passenger traffic, real estate, SBB cargo, and infrastructure. And so we don't just do railways, as I mentioned before. We also own a lot of buildings, for example. So we are one of the key players in Switzerland as well there. And we have also a huge information technology department and IT department that is able to connect all the divisions between each other. And of course, the division between them are also connected as well. And we, in this project, we are really in the middle of that. We are basically an IT project, however, operating in the field or in the division of passenger traffic and infrastructure as well. Maybe a last remark to this slide. The numbers are currently not valid because of the COVID situation, as you might know. So we have a decrease in passengers per day there, also at SBB Cargo. However, we hope that once this story is over, that we will be back at the numbers displayed here. Right, so this about SBB in general, and now let's dive right in and start with a brief overview of what customer information at SBB means, especially to us, since this might be quite an abstract term for you. And yeah, you can see then the field in which we are operating in this project. First, on this slide, we have written down some of the examples that we or that SBB considers as customer information. So I think the first bullet point there is really the key. So basically, any information that concerns the traveler during their travel is customer information. So if you're, for example, looking for a connection in our SBB mobile app and you see that a train or that your train has a delay of 5 minutes, this is customer information to us. However, this obviously goes much further than that. To not only delays our customer information, we have another examples listed down here. For example, a change in a train formation or your next connections when you're arriving at the train station, or also special informations, as for example in the current situation that you have to wear a mask in public transport. Things like that are also considered as customer information at SBB. Furthermore, and these are the 2 bullet points below, also service disturbances or service interruptions are customer information to us. So the first one, a service disturbance, you can see that as well on the left side here. This is the case when your connection cannot be guaranteed as usual because of, for example, a construction work or something. So you might have a delay there, or you might have to catch a bus instead of the train due to a disturbance. But overall, the service can be still guaranteed, so you can still travel from A to B. However, the difference is, or the other case is a service interruption. Then we really have the case that you cannot travel anymore from A to B, so the whole connections on this specific route is not available anymore, and the service there is cancelled. So why do we show these 2 examples so prominent on this slide? The reason is because these 2 things are really important for our project, the CMS, Content Management System, customer information, where we really do concentrate on, yeah, so to say, big or very important customer information stuff. And service disturbances and also service interruptions are surely 2 of them that you as a customer or as a traveler might know or must know about very quickly, so that you can plan your trip and you know what to expect from us. Right. Next slide. Let me just switch. Yes. So we really want to make our customers able to act, is the term that we use internally. So we want to guarantee that you as a traveler can move from A to B without too many interruptions. And one of our most important goals, and this is one of our most important goals at SBB, but at SBB customer information in general, and most importantly also at our specific project. So therefore, the claim that we have written down is like the vision that we have internally at our project, but it is also valid, of course, for SBB customer information as a whole. And we will come back to this claim a few slides later when we show the vision or what we especially do at the project. Yes, again. So now we have seen a short overview of SBB customer information. So let's look at the challenges that we face at SBB customer information. And of course, the challenges listed down now in the next slides are only some examples of the challenges, because we have only 1 hour time, so we cannot concentrate on all of them. But these challenges are very important to us because we really want to tackle them with our specific project. And we have found, in our opinion, a really good solution to try to tackle them, and always, of course, with the help of other projects too at SBB. So it's not only our project, but it's working together or a collaboration with other projects as well. So we really try to overcome these challenges as a whole team at the SBB customer information. So the first, and maybe also the most, or one of the most important challenges at SBB customer information is the question, what shall we communicate? And we have listed down there the 5 W's. So who, what, where, when, why, and even how long. So there are even 6 in the case of a service interruption. And these are really questions that have a huge significance internally, because it is always very difficult to inform perfectly to every of our customers, because there are also different requirements when it comes to information. So an old lady traveling alone has another, or has different requirements concerning customer information than a millennial with his mobile phone in the pocket. So this is really a difficult and important question and challenge that we face. So what shall we communicate is not a question that we can answer, but it's an ongoing process and something that must be tackled by SBB customer information projects in general. And for us, especially, this means that we are working together with an internal project called VIA. You can see that here below, who will be placed or positioned as the master of customer information in the future at SBB. So every service disturbance, every disruption will be typed in a user interface in VIA. And we have now implemented an API, a connection to VIA, so that the information typed in there is coming to our system. But you will see that a few slides later when Michael is talking about the technical solution in detail. So next challenge that we face, next problem, as you might know, or also as you might know from other railway companies, we at SBB have a huge variety of screens, applications, also employees. So in general, to say touch points that we can use to communicate with you, with the customers. And as you have seen on the slide before, these are all of them are elements of customer information at SBB. And this variety is not only a positive thing, because a huge variety can always lead to inconsistencies. So when the different systems are not connected to each other, we have a problem with inconsistencies. And this, in fact, is definitely a problem that we face day by day here at SBB, and something that we also notice through the feedback of our customers. So to look at this slide, you can see different screens in the railway stations, even in the trains. You can see our employees working on the trains. You can see our mobile app. Also the things you can listen to on the railway station. So there's really a huge variety, and connecting these systems between each other is something that we are trying to do in the project, but let's look at that later on. Third and last challenge for the moment is content velocity. So yeah, some of you might also know that nowadays, especially at small and medium railway station, and this is a picture of one of them, we still have a lot of the information available that we have is paper-based. So this implies not only a very time-consuming process to replace them, point 2 here, but also gives us very few possibilities to really inform in real time. So paper-based and real time are two terms that are not really complementing each other. So the COVID situation, for example, is a perfect example for that. When regulation change practically every few weeks, it is a very, very difficult process to inform at these stations with paper-based information, and this can be done a lot easier in a digital way. And this is also something that we can help to improve in the future with our project. Right. So hopefully it was more or less clear when we talked about the challenges. So now we are talking about the ultimate goals of our project. So the content management system, customer information. There we have already talked about the vision in the center. So we want to accompany travelers consistently and reliably throughout their journey across all our touch points. And you have seen the variety of our touch points. So this is not something that will be reached in a few months, but really a long-term goal and something that is very crucial to us. So what does this vision imply as well? So we have like 3 keywords that we are focusing on when it comes to our project. The first and one of the most important ones on the top, consistency. I think I have already talked enough about that. So it is really important to us to have consistency between the touch points that we have connected to our CMS customer information, but also in general that we have consistency in our different touch points. Second keyword is synergy. So I think we have a huge strength also there. We want to use synergies between the different touch points. We also want to use synergies with our already existing website that is on the same custom content management system. So we really see a huge potential there in using synergies between the different touch points that we are connected to. Last but not least, uniformity. Also something that I have already talked about. Nowadays, we really have the situation that our employees have to put in the same information in different user interfaces. This is something we try to overcome with the already mentioned project VIA that will serve as a master, and we will help also to that in the way that we are all only connected to this system and help to strengthen the position internally at SBB of this VIA project. Right, so this has been everything for the moment from my side. I would hand over to Michael to dive in a little bit more in detail about some things that I have talked about now. Right, Michael?
Thank you, Simon. I hope you can hear me. And yeah, this is always the same thing. Did I turn on my microphone? I think I did. So basically, what is the CMS customer information? So before the CMS customer information, a whole lot of systems and people were involved in bringing customer information to the traveler during a traffic disruption. So agents in the traffic control center, TCC, and in the operations centers, the Betriebszentrale, had to work closely together to find a solution and to inform the customers. The information had to be entered into several different systems, and for some touch points, They even had to call or email other people in order to put information onto their systems. So quite a complex architecture here, but a lot have been achieved in the last few years. So the most important thing is that the TCC employee is working closely together and at the same place as the operations center agent, which helps quite a lot, so they can synchronize together. Now, we have one employee that works on one system, VIA, and that handles all customer information. The employee enters all the necessary information about the service disruption into the system, and the system basically takes care of everything else. It informs automatically the CMS customer information, shown here in red, that enriches the information and creates a version for each channel attached to it. The CMS customer information here is the new central point to deliver service disruption information and any other customer information to different screens at train stations, to additional channels, and so on. Currently, there is still some information that needs to be entered manually into several other systems, but this will hopefully change soon. So the CMS customer information is based on Adobe Experience Manager. Actually, it's the same system that provides the SBB website, one of the most visited websites in Switzerland. This means that a lot of information is already available on the website. That is basically not customer information, or not all of it is customer information, but it can be interesting for the traveler as well. And it's already there, so we can use it. More or less, as a side effect, the CMS customer information can provide this information for other channels too. For example, the smart information displays at train stations, as we will see a little bit later. Anyway, the first goal of the CMS customer information is to provide information to the traveler during service disruptions in a consistent way, no matter which channel. But as a second goal, we want to provide additional information through these channels as well, with as little effort as possible. So let's see some use cases. As we all know, the pandemic limits us a little bit at the moment, and frankly, it had its influence on our project too. So we are a few weeks behind schedule, and due to this and other circumstances outside of our influence, we are not able to present you some features live and in real time and in color as we wanted to. But therefore, we decided that we will shoot some videos as demonstrations. Some of them are from live systems, some of them are from prototypes. Yeah, anyhow, let's begin. So the first is the smart information display, commonly known as SID. These are currently rolled out on smaller train stations all over Switzerland. They can be found in Efretikon, Sur, Düdingen, and Mindrisio, as far as I know. And in the next few months, many more will come to many train stations all over Switzerland. So the SID has many purposes. First and foremost, they replace information on paper. The timetables, the yellow poster that everybody knows in Switzerland, for example. With their touch screen, they can provide additional information faster than on paper, of course. And they can show real-time information too regarding the next train departures and so on. The SID help visually impaired people and people with reduced mobility finding their train and support them during their travel. So this is a second use case for the SID. They can help people that need a little bit more attention than the rest of us. So I don't want to longer talk about this. Samuel, could you please roll the first video?
At medium to small train stations, it looks like the time has stood still. There are still paper-based timetables, line and network plans printed on paper, and other paper-based information. But wait, something new is coming to train stations all over Switzerland. The Smart Information Display, commonly known as SID. SID's primary purpose is to replace the paper-based timetable, line and network plans. The customer now has access to all this information in an interactive way. He can scroll around, zoom into details and interact with the content in the same way he's used to from his mobile device. But the SID provides more than static information. It can display real-time traffic information by listing the next train departures and additional information about the trains. On smaller stations where no general information display is available, the SID can take over its role as well. How does this work? In the CMS customer information based on Adobe Experience Manager, a content manager responsible for, let's say, the timetables and network plans can choose a SID, or rather a group of SIDs, by choosing the corresponding train stations. The stations are ordered in a hierarchical order so that they can be found easily. The content manager can see which plans are required on each station and which current documents are assigned to it. As timetables need to be exchanged frequently, a dashboard shows the content managers which documents are considered outdated and need to be replaced. There are several different types of smart information displays that serve different roles. AEM Screens is responsible for the configuration of these SIDs. Once a new SID is installed, it is registered into the system through AEM Screens. Content managers choose the SID type and define the configuration, basically which functionality is available on a SID. The Angular app running locally on a SID requests the configuration at startup and afterwards loads all the documents needed. This is requested through REST APIs on Adobe Experience Manager. Real-time data is requested directly from the corresponding backend system. In a few days we will roll out new functionality. Then a SID will be able to display information about the services available at train stations, such as the opening hours of the stores and the services available. These are taken directly from the website, hosted by Adobe Experience Manager, and reused for the SIDs. This brings information already available on the website to the customer at the train tracks. Using a combination of different interfaces and technologies, ranging from AEM Screens through Angular and REST APIs, the CMS customer information and SID together can provide a service to the customer on small and medium train stations. Within a few years, most stations will be equipped with more than 1,000 SIDs.
Thank you. As you see, the smart information displays have taken quite a bit of our time, but we could provide here a very interesting solution that will be very important in the near future. A second example of what we did are the e-panels. At larger train stations, e-panels are visible everywhere. An external provider runs advertisement on these screens, but during large service disruptions on these train stations, there is a need to provide information to the possibly thousands of stranded travelers. This information has to be precise, consistent, and delivered fast. Therefore, ePanels can be requested to display customer information during such large disruptions instead of advertisements. Some, not all ePanels get customer information from the CMS and will display this information. It takes less than 30 seconds from the moment the disruption message is created in the TCC until it is pushed by the CMS customer information to the ePanels, basically in real time. Samuel, could you please run the ePanels video?
This is an ePanel, actually 2 ePanels. They can be found in larger train stations all over Switzerland and are grouped in display groups. These panels belong to an external provider and are used for advertising purposes during normal operation. In the case of a service disruption, specific ePanels can be used to provide customer information. This works as follows. In the Traffic Control Center, the TCC, an employee gets notified about a service disruption. She then enters the corresponding customer information once into their system and provides additional information for the customer, such as the duration of the disruption or possible alternative travel routes. Then, the TCC employee defines on which ePanels the information shall be shown. She chooses the train stations and the display groups. Once the TCC employee has published a message, it is transferred via a message bus to the CMS customer information, which renders the message and serves it to the specific ePanel display groups. The ePanels of the selected display groups automatically switch over to the disruption message in all the configured languages, while other display groups continue to display advertisements. This ensures that additional displays can be used for customer information where no other alternatives are available, while not overwhelming the customer. Once a disruption message has been solved and the train runs normally, the disruption message is removed and the ePanels go back to the normal role, presenting advertisements.
Thank you. These videos were taken on one of our first live tests in Winterthur, and therefore you might have seen that especially French texts were not rendered correctly. This has been solved in the meantime. Now to something completely different. I mentioned a few minutes ago that the CMS customer information is the same system as the one that runs the SBB website, and therefore we can reuse functionality and content from the website. The inspiration desks are such a case. Inspiration desks are tables with a touch screen that are available in the traveler information centers at big train stations starting this spring in Montreux. Here we use AEM Screens to provide an idle channel, so basically a screensaver that shall bring people to the screens and show nice symmetry and the videos and so on. And as soon as a person touches the screen, an Angular app based on the CMS customer information takes over and shows information that is already available on the website but has been prepared for the touch-based interface of the inspiration desks. Samuel, could you please roll the inspiration desk video?
In our secret underground laboratory, we are working on the technology of the future, so to speak. An interesting case is the inspiration desk that will be installed in the new customer information centers that will be built at several train stations beginning this year in Montreux. When a customer comes to a screen, he's greeted by nice inspiring pictures or videos on an idle channel, something like a screensaver. Depending on the orientation of the customer versus the screen, the customer can swap the screen by 180 degrees. Once the customer taps on a screen, he sees a home screen not unlike on a mobile phone or a tablet. The user now can select different applications that the screen provides or choose a different language, for example. The Inspiration Desk is controlled by AEM Screens. A content manager can push information to the Inspiration Desk, for example to the idle channel. Once a user is tapping on the desk, an Angular app hosted by AEM is used to access data available on AEM. The travel tips are taken directly from the website. The same information used for the website is used on the Inspiration Desk too. Already available, valuable and highly curated information can be reused without high costs. A user can select a travel tip either on a map or based on filter criteria. Once he has chosen a tip, detailed information is available. The customer now can even scan a QR code and load the tip onto his mobile phone so that he can buy it online. A detailed touch-based map of the region helps the user find location points of interest. This map too is provided by Adobe Experience Manager. In the case of a service disruption concerning the station where an Inspiration Desk is located, the CMS can push automatically customer information to the Inspiration Desk thanks to the AEM Screens integration.
Thank you, Samuel. So, how does this all work? If you want to connect the screen to AEM, you need a player that controls the screen. AEM talks to the player, sends the content, and the player renders the content for the screen, be it a LED board of 100 meters wide, a touch display, or whatever else. An interesting fact here is that we bring digital information to the physical world. The player and the screen are located somewhere on a train station and are normally not available during the implementation, which makes testing a little bit more creative. The easiest way to bring content to a display is to install the AEM Screens app on the media player of the screen. So this is possible on most modern players, as long as there are no constraints from the player side. This gives Adobe Experience Manager, the CMS, full control over the screen. It allows content to be scheduled, which means that AEM can provide channels, like a TV program, that will be played on the screen and can change the content that is played in real time, for example, during a service disruption. Whenever possible, use this approach, as it makes life quite a bit easier. But life isn't always easy. In many cases, the display and player are a single unit, or there is a legacy player that does not allow the AEM Screens app to be deployed on it, or the technology is simply not compatible with it. So in most cases during this project, this was the case and we had to find another solution. Fortunately, AEM supports many standard interfaces out of the box, so we could always find a solution to communicate with the player-screen combination. So how do I choose a suitable interface? This question is based on 3 factors. First, content. What kind of content do I want to display? Is it on all the time or only during service disruptions? Shall I show HTML pages, videos, images? Second, user interaction. Shall the user interact with the content? Shall the content be touch-based? Shall it be real-time? But the most important factor, however, are the constraints provided by the display. How can I connect physically to the display or the player? What protocols does it understand? How much implementation would be required on the other side? So we learned during this project that for each and every integration, we had to begin from 0. Therefore, our system architecture looks something like this. We have content managers that work with the CMS customer information, and we have backend systems that are connected through standard interfaces to it and provide information to it. On the other side, the CMS customer information uses an appropriate protocol to talk to a display and provide it with information. For the inspiration desks and the SID, we use AEM Screens. The ePanels pull an HTTP-based interface and get an HTML page. The SID uses REST APIs to get all the configuration data, and so on. We realized that the screen is basically nothing else than another channel using some interface to present information on some device or some channel. Basically, we realized nothing else than an omnichannel project, a use case AEM is often used for. So if it's a screen, or if it's a social media channel, or if it's a website or an app or anything else that consumes the information, actually doesn't matter. So therefore, don't be afraid of large devices. So we have here a 100 meters wide LED board that will be tackled next at the train station in Lucerne. So as Kimberly said, it still only counts as one. So this leads us to the lessons we learned in this project. Simon, would you like to take over?
Of course, we have listed down some terms or some sentences that we have learned during the last year of working on this project. I think the first and one of the most important one is learn each other's language, and we do not specifically mean the collaboration between SBB and One Insight as our strategic partner, but especially also the languages internally, because as I have mentioned on one of the first slides, we are really working in different divisions within this project, and divisions internally at SBB might have different views on some aspects. So this is really something that we had to go through in the first months to guarantee or to establish a common language between the different teams, also sometimes in the different divisions within SBB. Michael, do you want to proceed?
Yes. Each screen is a new story, and this is meant quite literally. For each screen type, we had to begin from scratch, work with a new team, a new or old technology, and we had to find new solutions to connect to a display and had to render the information so that the screen can understand. We had to learn that bigger does not always mean better. The huge e-boards on train stations that are easily 10 meters wide only have a width of about 800 pixels. So there is only so much information that can be displayed.
Right. Reuse, reinvent, and build only what needs to be built. This is definitely the right strategy for our project. And we had the big advantage there that we are running on the same system as the SBB website. So we had already or have already had a huge amount of content available that we can also use in our use cases, and this is something that Michael have illustrated quite well on the last slides and also in the videos. So really reuse and reinvent, but still then the effort might be sometimes bigger than expected, because unforeseen happenings also internally can appear. For example, code adaptations that need to be made that we hadn't in mind before. But still, then it's still the right and the most useful strategy for us in the project to really reuse and reinvent as much as possible.
Thank you. Standards save your life. Whatever you do, try to use standards and don't invent the wheel all the time. use standard processes to tackle a problem, and use standard interfaces whenever you can, even if you have to build it from scratch. Because the team that has to implement the interface on the other side knows, for example, what a JSON object is or how a REST API should be called. So this saves time as the rules are clear from the beginning, and we only have to concentrate on the structure of the information we want to exchange. So this is a big time saver. Nevertheless, the teams that are working on the interface need to talk to each other at least once a week or so, because it happened countless times, and it will happen all in the future as well, that one team does something a little bit here and the other team does something a little bit here, and boom, it does not work anymore. And the interface is broken, and we have to find where the problem is. This happens and will happen, but if you have standards, this makes life quite a bit easier. And last but not least, it may seem obvious, but it is as simple as this: it works. AEM is well suited for the job. The decision to use AEM as the customer information CMS was a good one. We could achieve our goals, and we are achieving our goals. We achieved quite a bit last year, and we will achieve even more this year because of Adobe Experience Manager, but not only because of Adobe Experience Manager. It is still the people who make things possible. Well, that's it from our part. Now it's your part with questions. Samuel?
And we got questions. Now we'll go straight to the question because we are already close to noon. So the first one. Very cool project. Thank you. Who is the main target audience for this screen, considering that most Swiss people have a smartphone with SBB mobile installed on it? So
I try to answer that. No, I think it's a very good question, and I think we are completely aware of this fact that most of our customers have their mobile phone with the SBB app in the pocket. However, we see our screens, and especially on the e-panels, you could see that we don't see them as competing against the mobile app or something. We really see that as a complementary. So we really want to make our customers aware of big service disruptions or disturbances that they have during their travel, and we want to inform them as soon as possible so that they know that they might be affected of this disturbance. And we really want to guide them for more detailed information to, for example, the mobile app or also the website. So for example, on the e-panels, you could see that below there was like the hint that for more detailed information, please visit our mobile app or our digital information channels. So we really see the screens as as a matter that they really get the attention of a disturbance as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. Next one. You have a lot of good questions. So, so did you use AEM content or experience fragments? And so, which are your experience with this approach? So, what is our experience with AEM content and experience fragments?
Yes.
Maybe for you this one.
Yes, indeed, we use them. The leisure and travel tips, for example, are based, I think, on experience fragments. I don't know exactly because I was not involved in the implementation, but yes, we used them, and yes, they help us doing what we need to do. So on the touch-based interface, we only need a part of the information that is available on the website, because every link that leads to outside of the SBB website cannot be used on the inspiration desk because we want to have to control the environment where people can go with it. And therefore, these experience fragments helped us to use only a part of information. But as it always is, we need quite a bit of time to understand how it was implemented for the website in the first place 1 or 2 years ago, and we had to discuss with this with the developer who did it to understand how he did it and how we could adapt it. So it's not that we can just boom reuse it, because it is something that was built a year or two ago without looking into the future so that it could be reused. If we had to build it right now, we probably would build it on the content fragments and build it in a way that it can be reused without much effort. So we learn all the time.
And maybe if I can add something there, because we have a specific example where we used a content fragment that was on the smart information displays. We have the possibility to display special hints, it is called. So for example, we use that to inform the customers that the smart information displays are being cleaned regularly. So especially in the current situation, this is quite a good fact to know for the customers. And we implemented content fragments there so that we can be very flexible with such special hints or special references in order to inform our customers.
Next one. Can you tell some words about multi-language challenges? Yes, of course. For instance, in Biel, Bean. So yeah, French, German.
Yeah, this is a very, very current task, because 2 days ago we were in Biel and we tested our implementation of the e-panels there, the second video you could see. And this is really a challenge, because it's always the question how, in which language do you inform, and you want to concentrate on one language or not. For most of our bigger railway stations where e-panels and also e-boards and another case are there, it is quite clear to inform only in one language. But we have built in the possibility to inform in 2 languages as well. And for example, the e-panel case, so we have like an animation there that always goes next to each other. So first in German, then in French, and we could also use that, for example, at the airports where English might be an important language as well. So we are really working closely with our backend system VIA that I have mentioned as well, because they have everything available in all of the languages, and it's we together with them to define on which railway stations we really use which language. So this is an ongoing process and surely a challenge that we face day to day.
All right, next one. Interesting. Could you integrate web analytics with screens? I guess this is a question from Mark. So
yes, of course we could, and we will. Basically, there are 2 things that are interesting regarding the inspiration desks. First of all, we'd like to see how a user uses the inspiration desk, and for this, analytics is, of course, very suited. We cannot differentiate between different customers, of course, because there is one desk and everybody who uses this desk will be more or less the same person. But the second thing that is interesting, especially in the case of these travel tips, they are sold on the website. And an interesting question here would be how many of the sale that we do come from an inspiration desk. So does the inspiration desk provide sales on the website? And through this QR code thing, we can, of course, have a campaign ID and how this is done. We can see that a sale was generated by the inspiration desk. That this will be quite interesting, I guess, in the future.
good. 2 or 3 more questions. Do you use an API gateway? If so, which one do you use?
Actually, we don't. We have a message bus that connects the VIA system to our system. That is, I don't know even which technology is behind it. Cannot tell you,
Okay.
but can tell you at a later point. I have to ask the developers. But otherwise, no, we don't. We use just interfaces that are coming with AEM.
All right. Next one. Have you used a CDN like dynamic media?
Yes, we use a CDN. We don't use dynamic media for different purposes. The CDN basically is used for the AEM for the provision of the website. And because we use the same system, we can use this CDN without additional costs or without additional implementation efforts. We would probably not need it because of all the displays are in the SBB network, but we have it and we use it.
All right. It's soon 12 o'clock. We can still stay, but I think people start to leave now. Anyway, I also wanted to ask.
Oh, Samuel is the first one to left. Samuel?
Let's just wait.
Can we see the questions? Samuel, where are you? Oh, no?
That was the last one.
That was the last one.
I think there was,
I
saw.
Here, there's a question coming. Great project, which milestones in the development phase did you have, and what were the decision criteria? Coming from Jürgen. Simon, is this a question for you?
Yeah, of course, because I wanted to answer that. I saw that before in the chat. At the beginning, we were quite externally driven in terms of our project, because it was very clear, also due to the timing that we have to work for the smart information display. So this was like our first productive case, and still is. So the next ones are going live hopefully in the next months. But we were a little bit driven by that. So we had to have a solution there very quickly. We started about a year ago with the project. And yeah, beginning in May was the first date. Due to COVID, this was a little bit postponed. But yeah, during until mid-year, we had to have a solution ready to concerning the configuration of the smart information display. So we really had this big milestone at the beginning, and after that we already had our roadmap, so we knew which panels will be the next one to connect to. And after that we were also a little bit more free to tell it like that, because we could concentrate on other things as well, not only on SIT. But in the first 6 months, let's say like that, we were really working for SIT, and this was our big milestone that the first of them were going live in August. I thought it was, yeah. And next
Good.
milestone will be the e-panels. So in March, we will start having disruption messages there in Biel, in Winterthur, and in Lugano. So in all, or in 3 of our language regions in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. I've seen there is a question from Bertrand. What's the acceptable latency between someone making a change in the CMS and the corresponding display being updated? I suppose being quick helps when service disruption happens. Bertrand, you're right. Basically, instantly. It depends a little bit on the system used and the interface used. For example, the e-panels poll every 20 seconds for a new disruption message. So basically, it's between 20 and 30 seconds, something that disruption message will be available on an e-panel after it is processed by the CMS.
Great. Great. Thank you, guys. We got a lot of questions. It's really good. I'm really happy to see, really that people engage with presentation. We are running out of time now, and I see people leaving the room. So anyway, what I want to say is that we will share with you the slide deck next week as well as the recording. So yes, we'll get all the material here. As well, I mean, if you have more questions, the best is that you come back to us. We can still have a call and give you more information about what you have done, because I think, yeah, maybe you have specific use cases for your project. So let's have a chat. And yeah, Simon, Michael, really great. Thank you for this presentation. Do you want to say a last word to the audience?
Thank you for your time. It was fun. It was fun for me too. And we can discuss, reach out to us, and we will try to answer your questions or talk to you about the system. And we sure will be showing in the next few weeks or months updates to what we achieved. There are many more screens that we want to attach. So thanks.
Simon, last word from SBB.
Well, yeah, also from my side, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the great questions and also the great feedback. I was especially happy about the one from Mario Bellino telling us that this is one more reason to use public transportation. I think I can really see the point there, and hopefully you will do, because yeah, although the situation is quite difficult at the moment, we really believe that we have a cool product with trains still at SBB. So hopefully you will still continue to use our services. And yeah, once again, thank you to Michael and Samuel as well. It was really cool to do this
Great.
webinar together with you.
I can clap for you, people in the chat as well. You can clap. Thank you, guys, and I wish you all a nice day, and we'll come back to you soon with more information. Have a nice day, and bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.